But anyways, let's move into the final topic, and we are talking Memphis Grizzlies draft here on the Fast Break Podcast for some Blog Talk Radio. Don't forget to hit us up on Twitter at MostValuablePod. Let us know how the flow's going. We put Wet Boys second. But if you're on YouTube, came out first. If you're watching on YouTube now, don't forget to hit a like. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to hit a like. Don't forget to like this video. And also, if you're new here, don't forget to hit subscribe. We're closing in on 10K. But now we are talking about which prospects best fit with the Grizzlies. And before I asked you guys which guy fits best and which guy is perfect in your mind, let's just go to Marvin Bagley first because we just talked about him in the podcast. We'll get him out of the way for Blog Talk Radio guys who we just did 27 minutes on Bagley. With Bagley, we look at him, we see Marc Gasol, we see Mike Conley there. His ability and Gasol's ability to stretch out the floor and his ability, Bagley is, with his athleticism, with his ability to cut, with his size, would work well with spacing on the floor, which the Grizzlies are able to do offensively. And defensively, Marc Gasol is still good, not great like he used to be, but he's still good enough to hide the inefficiency that Bagley has defensively. So, fit-wise, it looks like Bagley is a good choice for them. However, right now they've lost 12 straight. I'm getting into it.
Okay.
However, they've lost 12 straight, and they're currently at the number 1 overall position. So we're probably not going to go Bagley with the Grizzlies. So there's obviously Luka, number 1. People have him number 1 on their big boards. DeAndre Ayton, number 1 at the big boards with 100K. We also have Trae Young for some people, even though he's been slipping a little bit lately. Which prospects best fit the Memphis Grizzlies at the number 1 overall pick?
I thought you were going to set me up a little bit differently. I thought you were going to set me up with the would you go and take Marvin Bagley number 1? I was getting ready to say, no, I wouldn't. Like, my pick for the Grizzlies at number 1 is unchanged. It's DeAndre Ayton. Like, that is who I am going with because I look at their team right now. We all had them go Bagley in our last mock draft because that was where the best power forward was at that point. What they really need, they don't need to be a guard, so Luka's out of the question. They've got.
In what world is this team not need? I don't think there's a position on this team that they don't need.
I would go. I would say they need a big more so than a guard, and that's why I would go Ayton.
If you just say they need and just stop right there, and that describes this Grizzlies team.
And then it's like, what do we got to narrow it down, Dave? That's why I'm narrowing it down. I would go with the bigs.
I just go BPA
in general. And that's Ayton, because I also look into it. You might be saying, but Ricky, they got Marc Gasol, and Ayton's not a 4, he's a 5. Yeah, Marc Gasol, I'm not sold on him being a Grizzly for much longer. And if he does finish out his contract, it's next year because he'll probably decline his player option to try to get more money. And at that point, I'd say, you know what, we've got Ayton. Goodbye.
And Gasol's also, it seems like he's sick of Memphis as well with everything that's happened this year. I wouldn't be surprised
if he gets traded next year. So why not take Ayton now and just say he's going forward, he's going to be our big of the future.
All right, Dave, talk about Luka.
I think that I was going to say, I just don't think they go with a 5. I mean, Gasol, I don't think he rejects that option. He'd be 35 at the time, 36 maybe. So you're probably not going to get more than $26 million at that point in your career. I think that they need everything. They just best player available. And right now, the best player available is Luka for me. He does a little bit of everything. He's a great ball handler. He's a good scorer. He's a good facilitator. He's just a well-rounded player, and that's the guy you need on this team because you need to start building around someone because, let's be honest, we've been through the years of the grit and grind Grizzlies. This is now everybody's hurt, and we're slowing down. We're in the retirement home. I don't got a good name for that yet, but that's what it is. You basically survived this year off of Tyreek Evans having the best year of his career and Marc Gasol begrudgingly playing. That's it. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's any one spot that you want to build around because you don't build around a 30-year-old Mike Conley. You don't build around a 33-year-old Marc Gasol. You're not going to compete with that. So you might as well just take the BPA.
So with Luka though, and we know you think he's BPA.
Yeah.
And we with Ayton Ricky thinks he's BPA.
Yep.
But the whole thing is you're going to build around a player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you want that player to be a superstar? Wouldn't you want that guy to be the most impressive thing you've seen
at 1 overall?
Years?
He better be.
So looking at this, Ayton has been impressive in spurts, but he's not that great defensively. Offensively, he's a monster, and you look at him, he's just physically impressive.
Imposing.
Luka, while he might be one of the most well-rounded prospects in decades, if not the most well-rounded prospect we've seen come into the NBA, again, is it sexy to take an international 6'8" guard who's not that athletic, at number 1? So with Memphis, a team that isn't a big market, isn't really going to be getting a ton of national viewers, wouldn't you want to take a guy who is a complete superstar? Wouldn't you want to take a guy with that huge pop? Michael Porter Jr. is coming back to the Missouri Tigers
exactly where you're
in
going.
the SEC tournament. He's not playing today, but at some point he's coming back to the SEC tournament. I'm glad I held that pause a little bit longer. I got
Did
the
you
response.
mean to use the word pop? Because the whole time you're talking, I'm thinking, you set me up for that wrestling entrance. Set me up, Sean. And then you pause. And I was like, yeah, Michael, because I knew you were going to say it.
I
love it.
I will not reveal my secrets. But Michael Porter Jr., this is a guy that we have seen coming into this season before he got injured.
Well.
He was the number one prospect coming into this season. He was my number one prospect coming into the season on my draft board. He's obviously fell due to the injury that he suffered against Iowa State in their first conference game this year, the Missouri Tigers. We only saw it for 2 minutes, but he's coming back for the SEC tournament, and that means he's also coming back for the NCAA tournament, as Joe Lunardi has them currently in the tournament. You look at this, and if he's able to come back, he's able to put up impressive numbers in the SEC tournament, and he's able to put up impressive numbers in the NCAA tournament and take them to the Sweet 16. This kid might put himself into number one pick talk again. And you look at it, I think he is a bigger star, has the potential to be a bigger star than DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic. He might not be, exactly there, physically, and he has those questions with the injury now, with suffering the injury to his back. But if he's able to be healthy and he's able to be on the floor, Michael Porter Jr., to me, before this season was a number one overall pick. And if he's able to come back and show that he's fine, he's a number one overall pick in my mind. So why wouldn't Memphis go with him?
Now, I'm going to say, when I gave my answer, right now, Porter Jr. not playing. I was actually going to bring him up later, Sean. In my head, I'm thinking, okay, as this segment goes on, bring up Michael Porter Jr. because he is coming back. But if he's on the table, then I kind of rethink my position a little bit, and I would probably go MPJ over a DeAndre Ayton, definitely over a Luka Doncic.
So the question is, how many good games does he have to have, because he is dealing with a limited time frame left?
Well, I mean, just play a good tournament. I don't even care if they lose that first
a good tournament is what,
game.
one game?
Hold on.
I mean, it depends on what he shows me.
Let's not bicker. Hold on.
Because a loss isn't just all on him.
Real quick, let me set this up.
Okay.
Before this injury, we always talked if he had a good NBA combine, he would still put himself back up into that top 3 draft talk. So if he's able to come out on the floor, be effective, shoot efficiently, show some nice shots, show the ability to drive, he's probably going to get at least 2 games to play. Because if they get bounced in the first round of the SEC tournament, and if they get bounced in the first round of the NCAA tournament. So at worst, he's going to get 2 games. But I feel they're probably going to go at least to the second round of the SEC tournament, possibly even the championship game, because Kentucky's been up and down this season. Florida, obviously, last year was going deep in the NCAA tournament, but this year, a different Florida team. I mean, this is a Mizzou team that I'm not too high on, but if you add the number 1 player in the nation before this season back to your team, this is going to give you a spike. John Tay's been playing great, his brother. I mean, if you add a superstar like Michael Porter Jr., you can go to and win the SEC tournament. So that's what, 3-4 games? I think 3 games.
The SEC tournament, I was looking to see where they are right now, but heading into today, which was Saturday as we're recording this, they would be the 6th seed, where if they went to the championship and won, it'd be 4 games.
4 games. Okay,
they're probably going to get 4 because I don't see them being one of the bottom 4 teams.
Okay, so 4 games for Michael Porter Jr. if they go all the way to the SEC tournament. I think they get past that first round matchup, and they at least get 2 games in the SEC tournament, possibly 4. And in the NCAA tournament, you get probably 1 to 3 games because I don't think they're going to the Elite 8. You possibly get a Sweet 16 berth from them, but you get 1 to 3 games in the NCAA tournament. So, what?
Because I was going to say, looking at it, they would get in their first game a winner of Vanderbilt and Georgia. Could beat either one of those. And then if we're going off of...
Georgia's been sneaky good.
I'm just going to say, for the sake of argument, just go upsets out the window. I know it's against March, but that's how I'm going to do it. They'd get Mississippi State... Or no, they'd get the 3 seed, which would be Florida, then possibly the 2, which would be Tennessee, then the 1, which would be Auburn. That would be the toughest road for them to go through the SEC.
Again, I mean, you get 2 games at worst if you're the... If you're the Missouri Tigers. And then you probably get... So it'd probably be 3 to 4 games you're going to get from Michael Porter Jr. If he's able to put up 28-3 and look good defensively...
Yeah, I mean, that's attractive.
That guy's number 1 pick in my mind because he's coming back and he's perfect. I mean,
he's perfect.
Well, he's coming back, and he's not showing any get-ups in this game. He comes back, wins a couple games for his team, and he's putting up 21 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and shooting around like 50% from the field, maybe 47% from the field. Hell yeah, that guy's a number 1 pick in my mind because he's already a good free throw shooter. We've seen his ability from the outside. Defensively, he has the body and the build and the athleticism to be a great defender. Michael Porter Jr. could definitely be a number 1 pick if he comes out and does that in the SEC tournament and the NCAA tournament. So Michael Porter Jr. to me, if he's actually coming back and he's healthy, number 1 pick in my mind. And he would fit great with the Grizz because not only is he filling the spots that Gasol and Conley don't play in point guard and center, he plays the 3 or the 4. He also has the ability to be the superstar when those guys actually retire and leave off. And also, Conley is still going to be there for, 3 more years because he just signed the 5-year deal for the most money in NBA history. So, I mean, he still has time to work with a guy like Mike Conley, Chandler Parsons as well, possibly Reek if he comes back, and Gasol for a little bit as well, as long as Mark is there. Mark is there. So, I mean, this is a team that could add a superstar in Michael Porter Jr. As long as Michael Porter Jr. is healthy, I think he's going to be a superstar.
Do me a quick favor, Sean.
Yeah.
Look at the computer right now. How long are we into this segment, if you got to do your math correctly?
14 minutes.
Okay.
So we're about,
I think I've had everyone wait long enough. My tease that I had in the last segment of what if, this is for me.
Oh, this is the Suns thing?
This is the Suns thing. What if Memphis sits there and goes, number 1, hey, you know what? We don't really want to take Ayton, but these Suns, they really want Ayton. They really want him. And they work out a deal.
The Suns are sitting at the 2 right now, right?
Okay. What if they work a deal out with the Suns to get maybe the second, maybe some more picks, maybe a player from the Suns, and just move down from 1 to 2? Suns take Ayton, which in the NBA, the Grizzlies would have to take Ayton first, and then the Suns would take whoever Memphis wants, which could be Michael Porter Jr.
So then they get like the 16th pick as well?
They could get either the 15th or the 16th or whatever player you want to throw in that deal. I would look at that too,
but
especially if the Suns are like, hey, you really hey, Phoenix, you really like DeAndre Ayton. I'm willing to give him to you. Yeah, but what's the price?
But so that means, like, I don't know how that would work out. So you're just trying to play a mental game with them.
Yes, basically, it's what if I can get
he
Michael
wants the
Porter
Chicago Bears them.
Basically, what if I can get Michael Porter Jr. at 2 and get something additional from the Suns?
I understand your thought process.
But if Porter comes out and plays the way you guys are talking, is there any chance? Would there be
the Suns
any
would
reason?
Want him?
Yeah, so
yeah.
The superstar potential is there. If he comes out, looks strong, plays well.
That's the only thing that might throw a wrench into it. You just take the guy.
But at least right now, we haven't seen him on the floor. Right. Outside of the 2 minutes he played against Iowa State.
And that's why
those are some glorious 2 minutes that Ricky and I saw live in person.
And that's why
you didn't see Michael Porter live.
Oh,
that game was at Missouri.
That was,
You're thinking Bagley.
I'm thinking Bagley.
Yeah,
we saw Bagley.
Yeah. We saw the day 1 game. But the reason why I thought that during the Suns one, that at that time didn't even think about Michael Porter Jr. It wasn't until after the segment started I was like, hey, you know what, MPJ could be going. That could throw a wrench into it, but it would be to me, hey, let me gauge out the Suns. And if the Suns seem like they're hard on DeAndre Ayton, then I try to kind of swindle them and get something for that and get MPJ and something additional.
My thought with the Suns is if they really want Ayton, then they'll go and get Ayton, but also you're not. I mean, Memphis isn't for sure taking DeAndre Ayton number 1.
No.
So they still have that possibility to get Ayton at 2 if they go away and take a Luka or an MPJ or, hell, Trae Young number 1. I don't know what Memphis is going to do. But, like that's the thing is I don't know if the Suns would give up the possibility of having 3 picks in the top 16 picks.
I don't even know if it would be the farm. It would possibly be. It would either be a player in the 2 or either like the 15, 16, one of those in the 2 for the number 1 pick.
I don't know.
That seems like a lot.
Yeah, like pick swap wise, like you still have the possibility to get Ayton is a thing, and you're still pick swapping and adding more just to make sure you get Ayton when you still have like probably a 50% chance to get Ayton at that number 2 spot.
But and this is the whole mental mind game. If the Grizzlies make the Suns think they're going to take Ayton, then it could be. It all matters of how you play the game, of how you can trick for the Grizzlies, it would be tricking the Suns into that deal.
Let's do this. Let's play a little role. We have talked about the Memphis Grizzlies front office on this podcast before.
Oh, I don't think
I
they
have
could
talked
pull it
about
off.
GM Chris Wallace before. I have made my statements and my beliefs
But they're
on
the
Chris
worst front
Wallace
office.
made before.
If I recall correct, you were not favorable of him.
I think he should be fired because he is a bad GM.
Good point.
So,
Good point.
with you throwing all this mastermind trickery, we're gonna get the Suns believing we're gonna take.
doing
We
what
already
I
have
do
the Aiton
best,
jersey
man.
being made in the factory. We already have
for Phoenix.
have them rolling out for Memphis Grizzlies. But if you give us everything you need, we'll give you the pick swap and we'll take some picks. I don't think Chris Wallace is smart enough to do that. So. It's a great idea, but again, there's a ton out there, and then it comes down to, can Memphis actually do that? No, he can't because Chris Wallace is an idiot. So they're probably gonna bench the number 1 overall pick. They're probably gonna be like, oh, we're gonna wait till the great offer is gonna come, and then they're probably gonna not even get the pick in enough time, and they're gonna have to just flip anyways.
Question.
Yeah.
What if, because they're so close, it's like a half game, what if Memphis is at the 1, Dallas is at the 2? Because would Dallas really need to go with a Michael Porter Jr. because they have a Harrison Barnes? They have a guy that can already fit that, and they would be more inept to go with a DeAndre Ayton over an MPJ.
So wait, what's your
So
you're
basically,
talking trade-wise?
same situation. Take the Suns, put them at 3. Take the Mavericks, put them at 2. Now it's a swap between the Grizzlies and the Mavs.
I mean, it could happen, but I mean, then again, you're throwing in players because they don't have the pick. The Phoenix things works because they have 15 and 16.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why I understand where it comes from with the Suns. The Mavericks one is a little bit tricky. I still
But the Grizzlies, like Dave said, they need end it. Like take anything, and even if that's additional players along with
Yeah, I mean,
MPJ.
that's the thing. I think that if they could find a way to get multiple picks in this draft, they would be thrilled.
Yeah.
So I'm sure they're listening for offers, but in the NBA, star power wins. And I don't care if you give me 3 picks between 10 and 25. If I get the number 1 overall, I need that 1 overall.
But we also talked about this so many times. Like, we just talked about Marvin Bagley at going probably 7, 8, or 9,
Right.
and we just said he could be a superstar.
Well,
so,
you said.
I don't think he's a superstar.
Yeah, say,
there's a
you
lot
got
of our
two-
fans. There's a lot of our fans and a lot of people.
There's a
that
lot
think
of
he could-
hype around Bagley.
Let me just finish. I think that there's a lot of people that think he could be a superstar. So, again, we're talking at a guy at 8, 7, 9, around there that could still be a superstar.
Right.
There's a ton of players in this draft, this very top-heavy draft, that could be possible superstars. And if you're sold on a guy like Marvin Bagley at 7 or 8, why not move down and then get a couple more picks, and you can get a guy like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander who can be a future point guard for you. I mean, like, you can not only get the superstar that you want, exactly like what Boston did, where they still got the player that they wanted, but at 3, and were able to add more picks last year with the Fultz and Tatum swap. Like, there's still that ability to get those players. So that's the one thing that. Again, I think you could possibly see a trade happen for that number 1 spot. We got to move away from the number 1 thing. But if you're the Grizzlies at number 1, who are you taking? What prospect best fits them at number 1, Dave?
I think I'm still going with Luka at number 1. I think that he has the basically a 0% miss chance. Like, he will be a quality NBA player. He can be a superstar. That's kind of where I go with that. Like, what he's doing right now at his age is pretty unprecedented. What he's doing at that level of competition at his age is even more, it's even more impressive. So I think that is the safest pick overall to take as a team that desperately needs to make themselves back into a winning fashion.
Ricky,
You changed my mind, and I'm not making safe picks at number 1. I'm going with the guy that will be a star, Michael Porter Jr.
Hey, I'm not saying that DeAndre Ayton and Luka Doncic won't be stars.
You changed my mind, man. You changed it.
But I said this back when we were yelling at each other when we did the green screen action. That Michael Porter Jr. I was going to say Marvin Bagley because I think yours is Bagley. No, it was still Luka.
Yeah, it was still Luka.
But Michael Porter was my number 1 player. And now he's coming back. Again, this is before he's come back and played. He can go out and just be awful.
What if he averages 12 points, 6 boards, and an assist a game?
It's going to be rough to convince people. I mean, he can come back at the combine and have a great combine, but then again, I don't think that's going to put him at the number 1 spot. If he comes out and plays poorly,
if he balls out,
if he comes out and plays
gotcha.
poorly, then I don't think he's going to be a number 1 pick.
That's what I'd be curious about.
So that's why I think Aiden's going to go to the Grizzlies.
I like it.
So me and you just
swap.
basically flipped.
Yeah.
So and Dave's never flipped, but I think that Porter, if he comes out and plays
flopper.
phenomenally, he's gonna be the number 1 pick for the Grizzlies. I think he's the best fit for the Grizzlies. We talked about Bagley being a great fit. I think Porter's even a better fit, and he's a better he's a higher potential, higher ceiling. So, but again, we see the closeness between 7-1, where Brooklyn is at the 7th spot right now in the NBA lottery simulator. They're a game and a half behind that number 1 spot. So with Memphis, they're not for sure locked in that number 1 spot. What other players behind Ayton, behind Doncic, behind Porter could be guys that could fit this team outside of Bagley as well, since we already talked about them? Which guys do you think that could fit into this Memphis situation and really be a player that could be a future star for them or future starter for them and be really good in the NBA? Which player fits Memphis outside of that number 1 overall spot?
With me, if I'm going off of fit and not BPA like Dave mentioned earlier, I'm looking at any of the 4s. I'm looking at Bagley. I'm looking at Jackson Jr. That's what I'm targeting. But really, if they're not number 1, like I could see Trae Young being drafted. I could see them just going best player available. And if it's Trae Young, boom, Trae Young's a Grizzly.
It's just you're going BPA.
Yeah,
then.
And then
so you are just going BPA.
Number 1 is interesting because I feel like that one you can play with, well, do we want to go with need? Do we want to go with BPA? Or like later on, it could fit more of like, well, we really need a 4. This guy's a 4. He could fit in. But really, it depends on where they fall. Could go BPA, could go with a 4, like a Jaren Jackson or Marvin Bagley.
David?
Yeah, I think if you're still on 3 through 5, I'd take Jaren Jackson if he was there. If you end up going even further back to that like 5 through 8 range, 5 through 9, I'd start to look at some of the wings out there. I would look heavily at either one of the Bridges. I like them both. I think Mikal I give a slight edge to, but I just think that, honestly, this is a team where no matter what you take, it's just as long as you think that guy can succeed, it doesn't matter about fit because they will get minutes. They're rolling out with a D-League roster for like the 3rd year in a row with like guys who we're playing guess that player in their starting lineup the other night. I mean, like, that's literally how deep they're going right now.
I went 4 or 5 too.
You did a good job.
Who was the player? One player I missed. I got the Harrison brothers. I think there was one player that
there was one more.
I whiffed. But anyway, so yeah, we actually we're pretty decent at guessing the Memphis Grizzlies starters. But if we're looking at this real quick, like at worst they're going to be at 7. So Luka's going to be off. Ayton's going to be off. Bamba's most likely going to be off. Jaren Jackson Jr. is going to be off. Bagley will still be out there most likely. Porter Jr. iffy, but he'll probably be gone. Right. Trae Young will be gone. So out there, we'll talk Colin Sexton, Wendell Carter Jr., Marvin Bagley. Again, this is at worst. Both Bridges, Mikal, and Miles, and you also got Kevin Knox. So those are probably the guys at that 7 spot that they could go after. Dave mentioned the wings.
Are you asking us what we would do there?
No.
Or are you just throwing it out there?
Okay. You guys are done talking.
Yeah, it's Sean's turn.
I'm wrapping up the podcast. Okay. We got to go. No, but those are the players that are out there at that 7 spot. Out of that whole pool, Sexton, Carter Jr., Bagley, Mikal, Miles, Kevin Knox. The guy that it would probably go there is Bagley. We talked about him before. He's going to fit well into this offense with the players that they currently have. He's got the potential in my mind to become a superstar. Not saying that he's going to. I think his ceiling is a superstar. I think he's got a low floor and the high ceiling. I think it's more likely that he's going to fall in the middle of that. But he still has that ceiling of being a superstar. I feel like you got to go. In that situation, Marvin Bagley III for the Grizzlies, but a guy that could possibly fit into that spot would be a guy like Miles Bridges. I think Miles would fit nicely into that Memphis mindset, if you know what I'm saying. I mean, he's not really a superstar. He's not a guy, Mike Conley is not a top 10 point guard. He's very close.
The almost all-star.
Marc Gasol is a great center, but no one's ever thought he's the best center in the NBA. Miles Bridges, I think that his top could be a very great wing, and I think he does a lot of things well. I think he could be a nice leader as well in the NBA. That's why I would say Miles Bridges, because he's got the mental makeup of what I think a Grizzly would be. I think he's got the smarts. I think he's got the attitude. I think he's got, coming from Izzo, I think he's got the demeanor of an NBA player and a guy who could really be an NBA player for the next 15 years. And I think that's what Memphis looks for. It's guys that have that longevity, that can consistently plug players in and around. That's why you see Marc Gasol staying around, Zebo staying around, Conley staying around. Tony Allen as well.
Are you saying they don't have the sexiness to pull in the free agents?
Well, no, they don't. And that's the thing. They want guys that are really going to be committed. And I think you see that in Miles Bridges. He was committed to Michigan State. He was committed to staying and being for everything that Tom Izzo and the Spartans stand for. Maybe
even
that's
when his
a little
mom
illegal.
told him to go get that cash.
They got the cash a little bit else. But well, allegedly.
Apparently, I think it was Noah Conley said we dare not put Miles Bridges' name in that and that he was clear.
We didn't. Yahoo did.
Yeah.
So, sorry, Noah. we didn't do it. We didn't write the report.
No, he's a Michigan State fan, so I can understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, I know that guy.
I'd be defending
he's
my guy,
commented
too.
before. He always calls us an idiot, so I'll give it right back to him. But final thing, I think Bridges has the mental makeup of a Memphis Grizzly. So outside of Bagley, I would say Bridges would probably be the best fit for them if they're not picking in that top 5 again, which is crazy. Right now they've lost 12 straight, but they still could be, they win a couple games, they can be all the way down to 7. But anyways, we're going to wrap up the Fast Break podcast. We want to thank everybody who's watching on YouTube, listening on Blog Talk Radio, listening on iTunes, so much for helping and supporting us and letting us grow. Everyone who follows us on Twitter too and been talking to us back and forth. We appreciate all your help. We talked about the Grizzlies. We talked about Marvin Bagley III. We talked about AD. Let us know any of your thoughts and comments down in the comment section below, or hit us up on Twitter at MostValuablePod. Also, don't forget to check out patreon.com/MostValuablePodcast if you want to help us and support us in any different way. And also, don't forget to rate us 5 stars on iTunes, both the Fast Break, Onside Kick, Primetime Podcast, and the Rick and Johnny Podcast. But for Dave Oster, Ricky Widmer, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.